guys, welcome to episode 13 of Stop, Drop, and Knit. My name is Lisa and I am coming to you from Long Island, New York. I just wanted to thank everybody who has been with me, especially from episode 1. Several episodes ago, maybe I think episode 10, I announced a giveaway, and I just wanted to let you know that in this episode today, I will be drawing the winner from that giveaway, and that was to celebrate the milestone of 500 subscribers, and we are now at over 1,400, which is just crazy and so exciting, and I feel very humbled and very thankful that there are so many of you who have been tuning in with me every single week as I share about my knitting and a little bit about my spinning. I'm going to save the giveaway announcement for later. First, I just want to get right into it with what am I wearing? So this sweater, I kind of forget the name of it. I just call this my Bumblebee sweater. I love this sweater so much. This is a test knit that I did for Tanis Gray. She is the designer behind the Harry Potter book and the new Star Wars book that is coming out. And she does really fun and amazing colorwork designs. She has a whole bunch of patterns for cowls and mittens that are in my queue, loading up my queue, just waiting to be knit. I just don't have enough time in the day. I was on Instagram one day and saw that Tanis put out a call for test knitters for this sweater, and I jumped on it. This is the one and only test knit that I have done for Tanis Gray, and I was so excited that she chose me, and I just love this so much. I just want to kind of get my hair out of the way so that you can see. So it's a top-down yoke sweater, and the yoke goes all the way around. So there's bees all the way across. There is a little bit of detail right before the hem, and there's a little bit of that same detail right here on the sleeve. My cat was snuggling me before and maybe snagged my sweater a little bit, but I hear my cat is meowing up there right now. So I did my test knit in the same exact yarn that Tanis used for her sample. I even did a swatch for this one, guys. This was knit right at the end of Dragonfly Fibers, right before they sold the company to new owners. So I'm not sure if you're still able to get this yarn or these colorways. I know that they have kept some colors consistent in the transition to the new ownership, but others they might not have anymore. So this is I have a whole entire skein untouched still, but this is Dragonfly Fibers from the other owners from before. So this is from fall 2019. And this is their Valkyrie base, and this is a worsted weight yarn. It's a superwash yarn, and this color is Wine Country, and then this one is Golden Compass. So obviously these two together are just so pretty. So this isn't exactly a purple. It's kind of, to me, kind of like a Merlot type of color. I'm blowing out the camera a little bit, but I think you can see it's like a, not maroon, but I'm just gonna say like a Cabernet Sauvignon or a Merlot. It's a really purplish red, very deep, and then it's got like a tint of black to it as well, and it is just so pretty. And then this Golden Compass is like a golden brownish. It's just a tonal of like all different depths of this golden yellow color. And it is just gorgeous. So, you guys know that I am always saying I don't swatch. And I did actually make a swatch for this one, and I have it right here to prove it. So I didn't have to change anything. I don't know why it is, but I never have to make changes to my needle sizes for anything. I pretty much knit, I guess, just to the recommended gauge, just automatically. I don't know why, but I'm not complaining because it makes my life a lot easier. And I feel like I can pretty much trust myself, which is why I don't usually take the time to make a swatch, even though I know that I should. But this one I did, and this is what my swatch looked like. So I did almost a whole color work section, like these little charts over here. And I did my swatch in the round. So this is what the back of it looks like. So I had all of these really long floats. Stick my hand in there so you can see. All of these really long floats in the back from just where I, just kept going in the round for the sake of the swatch. So there you go. I've got a swatch, and that is what I'm wearing today. And yeah, I mean, she's got so many fantastic patterns. This is the only design of hers that I have knit. I think that at least before the changeover to new ownership, she worked very frequently with Dragonfly fibers, from what I understand, because I have like yarn for a kit for one of her cowls, which is also Dragonfly fibers. So I think that they had a collaboration going on. So I have not knit one of her patterns since this sweater, but I do love it. I just can't like give you any information on whether that collaboration with Dragonfly fibers has continued after their transition to new ownership or not. I just don't know. But yeah, so this is my Bumblebee sweater. I couldn't ever pronounce it, so it's just safer for me to just put the name up there. So, and that is what I am wearing today. Okay, so for finished objects today, I have my Vanilla is the New Black socks. I still don't have sock blockers, you guys, so you're gonna just have to bear with the floppy socks on camera. But I finally finished both of them. I finished the second sock just yesterday while Owen was in his theater rehearsal. So I know that a lot of you guys have become curious about this sock pattern because of this really fancy heel that I have shown in my last few episodes. So I'm not going to go into detail too much about these because I've talked about these so much before in my last few episodes. But this is the Vanilla is the New Black sock pattern by Anneh Fletcher. And this is a really cool pattern because for the heel, you do this chart of knit and purl stitches with increases. And then you don't have to pick up for the gusset or anything. All you do the heel turn, and then you just knit around and around for the foot. So it's just all right there. It's a really, really cool construction. And I think the fit is great. And especially, I know that some of you guys were commenting that this is a great idea for knitting for socks for a gift for somebody. And I definitely agree with that, because if you don't really know like the size of somebody's foot, whether it's wide or narrow, and everybody has like particular preference for the fit of their heel. And for a gift sock, you don't necessarily know, and you can't have the recipient always try it on, especially as a gift. It's usually a surprise, right? So I think that something like this type of heel with a little bit of ribbing to it is a great option, because ribbing is very stretchy, so it accommodates maybe a wider variety of heel like widths or depth, or really thin heels like mine, or really wide heels like my husband's. It's kind of, I think, a good kind of safety option for that. So yeah, as part of my giveaway, I had asked you guys to comment with your favorite heel for socks, and I still have to go through and actually make a list of all of them. But I promise you guys I'm going to do that, because my plan is to basically knit my way through all of those heels. And then I would like to do some videos, maybe just talking about like comparing them and telling you guys like my experience with knitting the different heels. But I haven't done that many yet. My go-to is the slip stitch heel flap and gusset, like the traditional. Yeah, that's just what I always gravitate toward. I have it memorized. It's super easy. I know exactly how to do it. So usually when I'm knitting socks, I am on the go and I am just like waiting in the car for Owen for something, and then I just don't even have to look at a pattern. I just go on autopilot and just do it. But this year I would really like to get comfortable knitting a wider variety of heels. I have done a short row heel before, and I have one time tried an afterthought heel. But aside from that, I don't really, like, I've never done fish lips kiss heel. There's just so many other types of heels that you guys mentioned. Some of them I have never even heard of. So I'm really excited to just compile all of that into a list, and I will share it with you guys. And I'm definitely going to start working my way through that list. So thank you for all your suggestions. Yeah, so the yarn that I used for these socks is Knitterly Things. And this is the Naughty and Nice colorway. And that came with this like beautiful teal green mini that I used. Just look at how gorgeous these colors are. So obviously this was her one of her holiday colorways, and this was a Christmas Day cast on for me. So now I finally have a pair of holiday socks ready to go for next year. I actually have never knit Christmas socks before, so I'm really excited to finally have one. My toes and my feet can feel nice and festive next holiday season. And yeah, so I have not actually gone through all of the comments yet. I have been trying so hard to keep up and respond to as many of you as I can. So I'm going to be inserting the giveaway winner announcement right after this little segment here, because I'll just dig it out right here to show you guys again. Because Knitterly Things, Julia was kind enough to sponsor the prize for this giveaway to celebrate my 500 subscribers. So the winner of the giveaway is going to get this sock yarn called Poetry in Motion that comes with a hot pink mini. And Julia has also provided this project bag, which I think matches the yarn really, really nicely. And so a little sock project bag for that. And then I have thrown in, I got one of these, what is this called? Sock Doctor. It's the Anatomy of a Sock keychain. And I love this. This is what I use, and I keep in my sock bag at all times. So this is a little keychain. On the front side of it, it just has a little diagram of the anatomy on the sock. And then on the back side, it has the instructions for Kitchener stitch. And you can see this little blue part here is a little darning needle, so that you have everything ready to go for your Kitchener stitch for your toes. And then I'm also throwing in this really, really cute puppy dog Haya snips. So you just have your own little sock kit ready to go, whether you're a seasoned sock knitter or it's going to be your very first time casting on a pair of socks. I think that this right here is a really exciting giveaway prize. And I thank Julia so much for sponsoring this and just supporting my podcast in its infancy. And I thank all of you guys so much for subscribing and for entering my giveaway. I'm just so grateful to all of you. So after I am done recording my episode, I am going to draw a winner, and I'm going to insert that right here. Okay, I just picked a winner for the giveaway, and we did a comment generated random picker thing that went through all the comments. And so I'm going to put a screenshot up here that we took of the winner. And so congratulations, Karen Pellion. You are the winner of the Vesper sock yarn, the project bag, the Hiya snips, and the Sock Doctor keychain. So thank you guys for entering. Karen, if you would please send me an email at stopdropandknitpodcast@gmail.com and send me your mailing address, then I will be happy to get these in the mail to you as soon as I hear from you. Okay. So congratulations, and thank you so much again for everybody who entered. I will be looking forward to doing another giveaway, hopefully in the near future. And yeah, just thank you guys so much for being so supportive. Okay, so with every completed pair of socks, I've got to cast on another one, right? So let's move on to whips. Okay, so my first whip is a brand new cast on as of just maybe 2 hours ago. And all right, so Owen has started to outgrow some of his socks. So I need to knit him more socks. So I went stash diving because I have no shortage of sock yarn, you guys. I have no shortage. Last year, I picked up a whole bunch of this Anneh and Carlos Regia perfect kids color sock yarn. I picked up some for like adult colors as well. But I have never knit with this before. I have a ton in my stash. And so let's see, this one is color 02989. I wish that they would just give them a name. I don't think that there is a name. Yeah, not that I can see. So this is one of these easy start, like it gives you instructions on how to get the perfect pair of socks. I generally like my socks mismatching, but I thought that this was really, really cool. And so I just cast it on just after dinner or right before dinner, and kind of have been knitting on it since. And this is what it looks like so far, and I'm just absolutely loving this. So what you do is you pull, so there's this yellow yarn, and the yellow yarn is not part of the actual sock yarn. I'm sure a lot of you might have knit with this before and know exactly like what I'm talking about, but for those of you that haven't, I just want to explain. So usually when I'm knitting socks, I will just start from like the outside of a ball, because when I pull from the inside, it works great and stays contained for a while. But then as you get to the end of it, mine always becomes like this floppy, tangled mess at the end. So I generally don't usually start in the center. But what they say to do for these is to start in the center, and the whole first bit of it is this yellow. So what you do is you pull it out, and then you cut off the yellow. And then you have the very first color here, which in this case is this beautiful solid teal. And so that's going to be the cuff. Is basically you knit your cuff until your yarn starts to change to the next color, which in this case is this patterned variegated one. And so I have gotten so far the cuff done and maybe 1.5 inches of the leg of the sock. And I just think these colors are absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I was doing this in front of Owen and he really likes it too. And yeah, we're kind of having a little contest, like, can mommy get the socks knit before Owen gets a project of his done? And probably not, but we'll see. So I just thought that I need to start knitting him a whole bunch more socks because he's outgrowing his hand knit socks, which is fine. I mean, I knew that that was going to happen. He's a kid. His feet are going to grow fast and quickly. And I bought a bunch of these Kids Perfect socks, the Anneh and Carlos, to knit up for Owen. I also picked up for Owen socks like a bunch of the Knit Picks Felici in a bunch of really fun colorways. And what I love about the Felici is that 150-gram ball of that is like the perfect amount to get a complete pair of socks for Owen. Usually for his socks, what I will do is I will knit him from the leftovers of whatever socks I make myself. I have really small size, 5 to 5.5 feet, United States size. So one 100-gram skein of sock yarn always leaves me with tons of extra yarn. And so I'm always able to get a full pair of socks for both me and have enough for Owen as well. But I also wanted to try a bunch of like the Anneh and Carlos yarn, and I really wanted to see what the big fuss was with the Knit Picks Felici. So I picked up a bunch in a bunch of different colorways just with the intent of knitting socks for Owen. So I did not buy enough to make myself a pair of socks. I just picked up a whole bunch of different colorways, knowing that one 50-gram ball will yield me one pair of socks to fit Owen. So I think it's totally fine. We don't always have to have matchy socks, even though it is super cute. And I love taking pictures of our feet matching. I love matching mommy and Owen socks. They're so cute. But he's getting bigger and it's just really fun making socks. And this way, like, if I'm kind of tired of knitting from one skein and just want to try something different, I can just switch it up. So this is going to be my mindless knitting because I'm pretty much out of mindless knitting projects, or I'm at least getting close to be. Because, okay, so my next whip is I got a lot done on my worsted Boxy. I have made so much progress on my worsted Boxy. I'm so excited. This is now at the point where I can put it on and try it on as an actual sweater. I haven't done that yet. I probably should. Maybe I'll do that right now. But check it out. You guys, I got the whole body done. All right. So last time I had just gotten to the point where I separated for the bottom part of the sleeve. So it's knit in the round up until this point. And then to do the front and the back, you've got to knit the front and the back separately. So that was like my mindless knitting for this week when I was on Zoom, was I got like the whole front and then the whole back done. And I did the shoulder shaping and I got the shoulders all seamed together. Look at how, that's just stuck there. My ends are like sticking to themselves. So hold on. I should have put this thing on a hanger maybe, but oh well. Anyway, so, oh my gosh, this is such a fun knit. So check out, there's like some more blue in this part. So once I got to the shoulder shaping, I just moved, like I was alternating skeins for like the whole body. And then you can see maybe at the top, I really started just using a single skein because it was just easier than totally like switching back and forth on two skeins for all of this shaping. But this part is so fun doing these garter ridges. Oh my gosh, is this getting too blown out? I hope not. I don't know. I think it's okay. Yeah, I don't have like a really great daylight. I haven't taken any daylight pictures of this yet, so This is really blowing out. But I just wanted you guys to see the detail of, so the garter ridges and the shoulder shaping is really, really fun. So I really have been enjoying this knit. For the past month, I guess, I have been working on this project, maybe even more than a month. Not at all monogamously, but this has been my Zoom knitting. And so, because basically you do the hem at the bottom and then you're just knitting in the round stockinette for forever. So it has just been perfect. It's like, it's such an easy cast on. And then it's like, if you just need something mindless to knit on while you are working on like a more complicated project, or if you need to have something to knit on for those moments in life where you can be knitting, but you can't be focusing on your knitting because you have to have your attention elsewhere, then this is a really great project. Because you can even still do it when you separate for the front and back. It's still really mindless for a few inches. And then you get to do all this really fun knitting with these garter ridges. And it's like you've done all this monotonous, boring knitting for like, you know, however long, in my case, weeks and weeks. And then all of a sudden you get to this super fun part. And you get to do shoulder shaping, and you're getting to like change it up with a stitch pattern. And then you get to do a 3-needle bind off to seam the shoulders together. And it's just so cool. So let's see. Well, first, since I have it here, so this is what I've been using. This is Malabrigo Rios, and this is the color Va. And so Rios is the same yarn that Joji Locatelli, I should say the worsted boxy, in case you guys don't know, is a Joji Locatelli pattern, and it is awesome. She also has a lightweight version now where you can do it, the boxy, with fingering weight yarn. So I can completely see myself knitting myself a fingering weight. Why was that so hard to say just now? Fingering weight version of this boxy, because I have just enjoyed this process of knitting this so much. It has been a total respite from the Noctuidae sweater, which, by the way, I have blocking right now. So yeah, so even though that's finished, it wasn't like, as the Knitmore girls say, finished. Like, I jumped ahead and I got my pictures and I got them posted, but I skipped over the blocking part. So that was just a timeline thing. So that is blocking right now. But yeah, so I had that complicated project going on, and then the worsted boxy has been my vacation knitting from my huge color work project. So yeah, so I used Va, and I have now dipped into skein number 5. I have 6 skeins total of this. I don't think I'm going to need all 6 skeins. I think I'm going to be able to have 5 only. We'll see. I might have to dip into skein number 6 just a little bit. So basically, I'm going to put this on in a second just because I can now. I feel like I've been showing this to you guys, and it's been like the most boring whip to pull out and show you guys, because I'm like, okay, I got like 3 more inches done on this thing. And now like it actually all of a sudden looks like something, and it is so awesome. So what I have left is I need to pick up stitches at the neckband, and I need to do the neckband, and then I have to do the sleeves, and that's it. So I don't know, I'm gonna put this thing on. We are going to see what it looks like. I've also been debating, like, I still haven't figured out what size I'm knitting on this. I'll tell you why in a second. All right, it looks a little bit weird over this sweater, but it's totally gonna fit awesome. I have nothing underneath the sweater today. It's just next to my skin, so I cannot take it off. But this is what it is looking like. So yeah, this fits comfortably over this worsted weight sweater. So this is going to, let's see, have This is gonna have a really nice drape to it. There's plenty of room, even over a worsted weight sweater. So, yeah. So, okay, the way that the sizing works for this is, take this off, is that up until this point, like, it kind of doesn't matter what size I knit. I have been torn between knitting a size small and a size medium, and the only difference is the sleeve circumference. So, like, up until now, every single thing has been the same for both size small and medium. It's the exact same thing. So I just kind of have to decide. Probably gonna lean towards doing size medium, just because, if anything, I'm probably more inclined to get bigger than I am smaller. I don't know. It's just kind of the way that things have been going as I age into my 40s, because we're 42 now. So yeah, bodies change when you go into your 40s and when you have had kids. And yeah, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I go through periods of working out and not working out. I am in a hardcore period of not working out right now. But when I was working out, my arms were tending to get much more muscular. They're a little bit flabbier now. But, you know, we'll see. I want to get working out again. And I don't want then the sleeves to be too tight. So probably what I'm going to do is just go for the size medium. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference. I think I am more likely to regret knitting the sleeves in a size small than I would be knitting them in a size medium. So that's probably what my answer is going to be. But yeah, so my worsted Boxy. I love this color. I could have pushed to have this completely finished for filming this podcast, but yeah, I've been kind of working on finishing a few things. Like I pushed through and I finished that pair of socks because that's been on my needles for way too long. And I pushed pretty hard with this, but not really that hard. It's just where it ended up being in the process. But I could have like spent all of last night working on the sleeves and getting the neckband done and probably like had this finished. But I thought I could just wait and just work on finishing it kind of at a more leisurely pace this week. There's really no rush. But yeah, I mean, I'm really kind of working towards trying to get things off the needles because I'm about to have a whole bunch of things on the needles. So, you guys already know that I have signed up to do 2 test knits for Anneh Lupton of Boho Chic Fiber Co. So one of them I can't really show you, but I will be talking about later in the acquisitions section because as hard as I was trying to shop from my stash for these 2 test knits, it did not work out at all. I had nothing that worked. So ended up having to purchase yarn for both of those, but I did it really within a budget, like under $100 combined for both sweaters, under $100. So I'm pretty like proud of that. But one of them is due February 23rd, but I'm probably like, I cast that one on today and I'll probably just go grab it and talk to you about it now. And then the other one is due by like March 2nd or 3rd. And then, you guys remember, I think I have it right here. You guys remember a few episodes ago, I talked about this book by Stephanie Lotvin of Telly Bean Knits, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. So I'm super excited to cast on something from that book, but it's gonna have to hold off a little bit because she just posted a test knit and that one is going to be due by March 1st. So now I have added a third sweater, and I'm super excited about that one. I can actually show you guys that one as I work on it and talk about it, whereas both of Annie's are hush hush until the release. So this sweater for Stephanie Lotvin is called Garland, and it is a fingering weight sweater with a really pretty yoke patterning in 2-color color work. So I have to, I've got to choose yarn for that pretty soon, and I have to get that cast on the needles. But I'm not panicking because for Stephanie, she only just announced it and she gave a really quick deadline. So all that she is requiring of her test knitters is that you knit the entire yoke and then 3 inches underneath of the body and then 1 sleeve by March 1st. So it's like I have practically a month to get that done. It is not a whole sweater. And then the other one that I'm doing for Annie is also color work, but it's basically like a short sleeve, sleeveless kind of thing. So there's no sleeves involved in that either. So I don't think I'm going to have any trouble completing any of those projects. But yeah, so I am going to be doing Stephanie's test knit completely out of stash yarn because I do have fingering weight. I might be using, I've got plenty of this left over from my Noctuide sweater. So this is one idea for the body. And then there's like 6 different, basically it's like you can use different minis for the color work portion. I don't tend to buy minis, but I have so much fingering weight yarn in my stash, and the yardage is so small for each of those 6 colors that I don't think it would even bother me to dip into a full skein of something if I had to. So I just have to kind of see what I've got and just kind of play with a couple different color ideas for that. And as soon as I determine my color scheme for that, I will be casting on. Obviously it's a top-down sweater, so I have to have my colors all set because the color work just starts in like right at the beginning of that pattern. So I might be using this, but I might be using, I've got a couple other options in my stash as well that I might decide to dip into for that one. So it just kind of depends like what direction I want to go with the colors. Okay, so as I said, I was trying really, really super hard to shop for my stash for both of the test knits that I'm doing for Annie. And I was obsessing over it last weekend, and I couldn't find anything. One of them is worsted weight, and I don't often knit with worsted weight yarn. The most worsted weight knitting that I've done has been for Owen, and bright blue and orange just really isn't my thing like it's Owen's thing. And at this point, I've pretty much used up almost all of his blue and orange yarn anyway. I either didn't have enough leftovers for the yardage that I needed in a specific color, or the colors that I had enough yardage of just didn't go together the way that they needed to. So after obsessing over it, I scrapped the idea of using something from my stash for that one because I didn't want to spend all that time knitting something if I wasn't going to really like the colors. So I ended up ordering on Love Crafts. Love Knitting is Love Crafts. I guess it's called Love Crafts now. Maybe it always has been. I don't know. But I put in an order, and that is supposed to arrive tomorrow. And so I ended up ordering some West Yorkshire spinnery yarn for that sweater, for the worsted weight sweater. So I'm super excited about that because I have actually seen this yarn in person in one of my local yarn shops, and I have been tempted to buy it on more than one occasion. I just hadn't yet. So, yeah, so, and I was able to get it a little bit, I guess, under the price because it was on like the Love Crafts, and they were having a 30% discount on that weight yarn. So I spent, I think, $50 because I needed 5 skeins, and that was $10 each. So for that sweater, I was able to get what I needed for just $50, which for me is really good. So I have that coming tomorrow for that test knit. And then the other problem with her other sweater is this other sweater is a super bulky weight yarn. I don't knit with super chunky yarn. I just don't. I have leftovers from one project in my stash, and it wasn't nearly enough because I need 5 different colors for this sweater. And I had leftovers from like a set of a hat and mitten set that I knit like 2 years ago. And I love it. It would have been a great project to use those leftovers in, but I didn't have anything else in my stash that was going to go with it. And so then I was checking webs and I was checking Love Crafts and everything, and the amount of money that I would have had to spend because I needed like 100 or just under 100 yards for like 4 of the colors, and then just over 100 yards for one of the colors. And for the super bulky, just dropped one. For the super bulky yarn, like even if it looks like a great price, you have to really be careful because as soon as you check the yardage, you realize that there's only 50 yards in that skein, and then all of a sudden you've got to buy 2 to get like the one color. And then all of a sudden, even when it's on sale, it just starts adding up. And I just didn't want to do that because since I was buying yarn for both sweaters, I really wanted to keep it as affordable as I could. So I decided last Sunday, Bryson, Owen, and we went over to Joann's, and Joann's was having a buy 2 get 1, buy 2 get 1 free on yarn, almost everything. So I decided, and I've actually never bought this before. I cannot believe I've never bought this before. But so I bought all of this. And I have a double of this one on the top because I did need to make sure I had enough yardage for that one color. And it was buy 2 get 1 free. So for the price of 4, I got 6 skeins. And even at full price, which full price for this is Lion Brand. What is it called exactly? Wool Ease Thick and Quick. Like everybody has knit with this yarn. I just don't knit super bulky things, which is the only reason I haven't knit with it. I've knit plenty with Lion Brand yarn, like regular worsted weight before, but never with the Wool Ease Thick and Quick. So full price, this is $7.99. At least it was at Joann's. So full price, 6 skeins would have been $48, which is still a great price for a sweater. But because it was buy 2 get 1 free, I got all of this for $32. So I think for a sweater, $32 is amazing. And I did start knitting with this today, and I am pleasantly surprised at how much I actually really like knitting with it. So, you know, I don't love knitting with acrylic yarn. I don't love the way that it feels. I don't think it tends to breathe very well. But there is enough wool content in this that at least knitting with it, I don't know how I like wearing it yet because I haven't made the garment. At least knitting with it so far, I'm really enjoying it and I'm pleasantly surprised. So this is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. And it's knitting up really, really nicely so far. I'll give you like a sneak peek at the wrong side of my garment. But let me show you the colors I got. So of course, all right, here is I tell you, I always gravitate toward the purple yarn, and then I haven't been using it lately, but I totally gravitated toward the purple for this sweater. So this is the main color I got. This one is called Fig, and it is this really, really pretty purple. Fig. I love it. It's so pretty. This is color number 146. So I got 2 of these. I'm not going to really have to use the second skein very much. I'll probably just have to dip into it a little bit. So hopefully I'll still have enough left over to make like a hat or something. And then, so that's the first color that I'm using. And then the next one that I'm using is this deep gray. And this one is charcoal. And this one is color number 149. And so these two together look like that. So there are it's basically like a stripey sweater. So I have to tell you that much. So those are the first 2 colors of my stripes. And then the next one I did was this deep purple, and this deep one is Eggplant. And so this is like a really dark purple. And the Eggplant is color 147. So I've got those 3. And then the next color stripe that I'm doing, this one is called Licorice. And this is like a marled gray. So then I've got that one. So it's really pretty. And then I just dropped the last one. And then this last one I'm using is kind of like a mix. It's like a black base, but then it has all of these colors speckled in. So I liked this one as the other option because it had a little bit of like the fig, it had a little bit of the eggplant, and then it just also had some other colors in it. So that's my stripe sequence. I don't know how well you guys can see that. And this is called Blackstone, and this is color 506. So yeah, so that is 5 skeins of super bulky is really hard to hold in 2 hands, just so you guys know. I'm about to like drop it again, but yeah, so that is my color scheme for this sweater, and I cast it on this afternoon, and my plan is to, so today is Friday. My plan is to have this off the needles, hopefully by Monday night. I start teaching again for my job on Tuesday, so I would like to kind of knock this out over the weekend and just call it done. It is knitting up so fast. You know, I don't really think I'm going to give you anything away by showing you this, but I know that she doesn't really want us to show you, so I'm just going to show you the wrong side just so that you can see like the colors as they're knitting up all together. So like you really can't see anything. So there's the fig, and then there's the charcoal, and then the eggplant, and then the licorice, and then there's this Blackstone. And that's as far as I got. And so, you know, it was probably like 90 minutes of knitting right there. Like, it's gonna go by so quickly. So that is one of my 3 test knits. And yeah, this is the one that's due February 23rd. This is gonna be no problem. But yeah, so the other reason that I decided to go with the Lion brand for this project, and I just, you know, this same sweater, if I had ordered super bulky yarn online, even from a discount site, was going to cost me easily around $100. And I didn't want to spend that because I just didn't want to spend that right now. I have bought other yarn recently, and mostly because I don't tend to knit chunky weight sweaters. So I wasn't, like, out of all the things that I'm working on, I don't know how I'm gonna like this one. I like the pattern, I like the way it looks, which is why I volunteered to knit it, and I knew I could get it done very quickly. But just thinking about things that I wear, it's just the chunky knits is just not something that I have, which is another reason I was interested in trying it out, because maybe, you know, just having a sweater in a chunky yarn would be just a fun way to change up what's in my wardrobe. So yeah, so I but I didn't want to spend a lot on it in case that it's not going to end up being that sweater that I don't want to wear all the time, because I tend to wear fingering weight sweaters. That's just what I gravitate towards. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to see how it turns out. Even though I'm planning to have it done within the next couple of days, I won't be able to show you guys until the pattern is released, February 23rd, but that's just a couple weeks away. So you won't have to wait long to see that. But at least this gives you like a little hint of what I've been working on. So yeah, I mean, so I cast on 2 things today. I cast on the socks for Owen, and I cast on this. And then my yarn is supposed to arrive tomorrow for Annie's other test knit that I'm doing. That is due like not February 2nd, like March 2nd or March 3rd. So once that comes, I'll be able to cast that on as well. And that should go pretty quickly. I feel like anything after the Noctude sweater, I feel like anything is gonna go quickly right now. And then I was really excited when Stephanie from Telly Bean Knits announced her test knit for the garland sweater, that I just had to jump on board with that. Even with the quick deadline, it's not a complete sweater. It's really just a yoke and a sleeve. So I feel confident. I feel very confident that I can get all of this done. And then, you guys, maybe I'm crazy, I don't know. But then I signed up today. Annie announced another sweater that just looked like a super fun knit. And so I volunteered to test knit that one too. You guys think I'm crazy, I'm sure. That one's not due until mid-April though, so even if I wait to cast that one on until these 3 are done, I'll still have 6 weeks. So it's going to be more than enough time. Plus that one, I know for sure that I have yarn in my stash for that one, because it uses like a ton of different colors of sport weight yarn, and I have so many things. So that's 4 test knits that I have going on, 3 of them at the same time. One of those 3 I'm going to knock out within these next couple days, so it'll just be 2. So I can do this. I'm like really confident that I can do this. Yeah, so I mean, all right, I have other things that I'm excited to cast on too, but like I wanted to get the Vanilla is the New Black socks off of my needles. So I got those off of my needles. Before I cast on anything else, I do want to finish up my worsted boxy, because it's only a neckline and 2 sleeves away. And the sleeves are like short because of the way that that design already comes down to here. It's like the sleeves are just, so they're like partial sleeves. It's kind of like 1 sleeve, but it ends up being 2. You know what I mean? Like the same amount of knitting for 2 sleeves is really like 1 full length sleeve. So yeah, so I'm gonna try to knock out my worsted boxy this weekend, as well as the chunky test knit for Annie. So that'll be 2 things. And then we'll see how the other test knits are going. But Owen's socks he's got plenty of socks, even if they're not hand knit socks. He's got plenty of socks. So there's no rush on Owen's socks. That's just going to be like something that I can pick up and knit when I need something to knit, and yeah, something just easy to bring with me. So that's pretty much why I cast that on, just because I felt like I had nothing that I didn't need to like sit and stare at a pattern for. And then I really need to figure out the Bernie mittens, because I've got that yarn to knit the Bernie mittens, and so I want to get those going alongside these test knits. I would like to get them done before the super cold weather is over. Oh my gosh, you guys, I forgot. Oh my goodness. All right, so speaking of the super cold weather, all right, you guys might have seen that I snuck up on my channel an extra video this week. And all right, so Owen and I made a really fun video. We thought that it would be fun to try out dyeing yarn with Kool-Aid, but I wanted to try it out, not just dyeing yarn with Kool-Aid, but I wanted to try the snow dyeing technique, because I thought that that would be like the super funnest, I don't even think that's a word, but just a really fun thing to do with Owen and a really great snow day activity. So he had a snow day both Monday and Tuesday, and we basically got a blizzard here on Monday on Long Island. We easily got 12 inches of snow. Probably was more than that. I don't even know. It was a lot. We got a lot of snow. It was amazing snowman building snow. We built a snowman, a snow person, whatever you want to call it. We built one. It was super fun, but so we got so much snow, and so I said, Owen, let's take advantage of this and let's dye up some yarn. So we made a really fun tutorial, and this is the yarn that we ended up with. So we made this with a few different flavors of Kool-Aid. We used cherry and lemonade and tropical punch Kool-Aid. So basically like 2 different shades of red and yellow. Mostly red is on here, and I just think it came out so well. It's kind of like a coral colorway, and I don't know, it just kind of like tropical punch. But for a while there, when it was like not yet done and I had it all like saran wrapped before microwaving it, it was looking like ground beef, the way that it was all tangled up. But anyway, so Owen and I made a tutorial, so you guys should check that out. It is super cute. I will link it in the description box below, but I mean, it's just the video right before this one, so it's super easy to find. And so Owen helped me with it, so he's on the video, and I am now supposed to make this skein of yarn. So this is a skein of Cascade 220 that was an undyed skein, and so there's 220 yards of worsted weight yarn, and Owen would like me to make him a hippopotamus friend for Bunny and Mouse. So I guess that this needs to become a hippopotamus. I'm not feeling like I have to rush to make a hippopotamus, but yeah, he's probably going to ask me about it sometime soon. So if you guys, that's what I wanted to ask you guys. If you guys know any fun hippopotamus patterns, I haven't searched on Ravelry yet. I feel like, see, I've only bought yarn from her once, and it was for one of my fiber share swap partners. What is her name? Like Lolo Bean? Is that what it is? The Lolo Bean yarns? Or no, Lolo did it. I think, yeah, Lolo did it, right? Doesn't she have like a hippo club? I feel like she's the one that has the hippo club and comes up with like all kinds of different hippo colorways and everything. Does she have a hippo pattern? Or like she must have a mascot. Like there must be something with the hippo. So I just feel like she probably has a hippo that there might be a pattern for. You guys can let me know if that's true, if you're familiar with her yarn. And yeah, but if you guys have ever knit a hippo, it just needs to use 1 skein of yarn. So I've got 220 yards of worsted weight yarn. So let me know. I will eventually search Ravelry, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So yeah, that was a super fun project that we did. So this is going to be something that gets cast on pretty soon. And with that, I think we will move on to spinning. Okay guys, so last week I shared with you guys my very sad saga of plying up these beautiful singles that I have spent like a year on and off spinning. Don't spin on and off for a year, because what happened to me was that I didn't keep track of the direction that I was spinning my singles in. I think most of the time I spun in one direction, but there are definitely times where I just started spinning my singles the other way, because I just picked it up. I was so on and off with this one. emphasis on the off part of on and off. But this was this little BFL, that's Blue Face Luster fiber from Frabjous Fibers. And so last week, I was so proud of myself because the night before I podcast, I sat down and I finally spent like an hour and a half like plying these singles together. It was like, I'm going to get these plied before my podcast. I'm going to have spinning to talk about. And then I realized that I didn't ply together my singles. What I did was I made a mess. Do you guys see this? I showed you guys this last week, but you can see this is not yarn. You guys can't really see that well. This is not focusing. What this is two, like you can even see right here, it is two very overspun singles, kind of, sort of bundled together. And I did this whole thing. This is terrible. This is what you call how not to ply yarn, because this is not yarn. This is just a mess. So I realized that. I was like, why does this not look good? And then I said, maybe I should try spinning it the other way and plying it the other way. I couldn't remember what direction. So I have been working through this, and I now have what is looking to be really pretty yarn. This doesn't want to focus. I'm going to unwrap some of this. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to show you a different one. So I have been working on now plying this the other way to make it correct. Okay. So I have now all of these really, really little bits of yarn. These are all fixed. These are now all correct. But they're like these little tiny bits because half of them were spun one way, the singles, and then all of a sudden I started spinning the single the other way. So I'm like plying it and it's looking amazing, and then all of a sudden it's not working again. And I realized that that's because that's where I must have started spinning the single the opposite way. Don't do that. You need to be consistent. So I recommend choosing a direction to spin, whether it be clockwise or counterclockwise, and making sure you stick with that. I don't actually know which is the right way, if one is like more correct than the other. I don't know if it matters, but what does matter is that you spin the same way consistently throughout all of your yarn, and that when you ply the opposite direction of how you spun. You can't go one way for some of your singles, and then in the middle of your project, you can't just all of a sudden switch directions and then go back. It doesn't work. Don't do that. So I have all of these little bits because I had to break it to fix it, because like I would be plying one direction and all of a sudden it's looking like beautiful yarn. I mean, you know, I'm a new spinner, so this is inconsistent, but you can tell, here's a bulky section, but you can tell this now looks like yarn. This resembles what yarn is supposed to look like, right? It's a thick and thin yarn. But this is a cohesive yarn, right? This is all spun the same way. But so I'd be plying, and then all of a sudden we were back to like plying the wrong way again. So my solution for that was to cut the yarn and then just start switching the direction I was plying until I had plied my way through that section of the singles that I decided to go the opposite direction. And then when I reached the next section where I decided to change directions again, I just snipped it again and then changed my plying direction. So now we have yarn that looks like yarn, but so far I have like little bits. But I'm hopeful that this whole thing will work out to being a big chunk of yarn, and that hopefully these two will become just one bigger chunk of yarn. Otherwise, I mean, I'm definitely still gonna knit with it. I'm gonna knit with these small bits too, but that's just a lot of ends to weave in. And a lot of like waste. But I mean, this is all a learning process. So I've actually probably only worked on this mostly last night, a little bit after I filmed my podcast last week. So I've only spun 2 more days this week. But I mean, we had the snow days, so our schedules just got out of whack a little bit, and I ended up doing that Kool-Aid dyeing yarn experiment. So that was not planned, but that was a super fun activity. And then I ended up just focusing on getting a couple things off the needles. But I am going to be working on this a little bit more this evening. And that is basically all that I have for you guys today. I do have some very exciting things in the works coming up this week. And hopefully I'm going to have a couple of interviews for you guys very soon. We are getting a lot of winter weather, so if things stick to schedule and things don't get snowed out, I'm going to have 2 interviews coming up for you guys that will happen sometime. I'm supposed to do them this week, and then I will have them on my channel during the month of February for you guys. Some of that might be dependent, though, on the weather, so we will have to just hope that nothing gets rearranged. And so I'm not going to totally promise you guys like a specific schedule. These will be in addition to my regular weekly episodes, though. So the weekly episodes will remain consistent, and I will just have a couple of fun interviews with a couple of really fun people just for some extra fun content on my channel. Make sure that you turn on your notifications so that you don't miss these extra fun interview episodes that I am going to be having this month. Thank you everybody for subscribing, and give me a thumbs up if you liked this episode, and I am looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.